Good morning for AM 1340 WGRV and 99.5 FM WGRV. I'm Reid Seals, and I'm here with Greene County Mayor Kevin Morrison for our monthly interview. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Reid. How are you?
Doing good. First question is, can you explain the process and thought behind naming the range admin building after Alan Broyles?
Yes, Reid. The concept of naming the administration building after Alan, I think, is a very well-deserved memorial to Alan. Alan, of course, was the longtime mayor of Greene County for 20 years in a couple of split terms. And Alan served Greene County very faithfully and very honorably. And we just felt that it was appropriate, the county, the commission, myself, very appropriate to do something in his memory and honor. Alan was actually in office when the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Commission grant sort of came to fruition or came to being as an idea and a vision. Prior to that, obviously, the range down there on Rick Coyle Drive was a very sort of small, indescript firing range, if you will, predominantly for law enforcement. It seemed to be sort of tucked in there, out of the way, and Alan, working with a lot of the Tennessee Wildlife Resources officers here that had retired, and some shooting enthusiasts, made him aware that monies were available in the form of a grant to the tune of about $1.3 million that Greene County could secure to upgrade and expand the range down there. And the facility that we have there is second to none. It's actually the only range of its kind within miles of here, the nearest one being down in Crossville. As far as one of the Tennessee Wildlife Resources sponsored ranges go, we have great plans for that. But we just thought that was a fitting memorial. The shock of Alan tragically getting killed in a tractor accident on his farm, and we just thought that was appropriate to do something like that. We'll have a little ceremony down there, have his family. I actually went to visit the family to seek their blessing, give a few options, and because was something that Alan had personally touched and been a part of, they thought that was most appropriate. So the commission voted unanimously on Monday night to do that, and I think it's very fitting.
Well, it ultimately did not pass. Why did the commission have to ask you to remove Bryant from committees, and why could they not do it themselves?
Well, the commission, if you look at Greene County and Greene County government as a microcosm, essentially, of the state or the federal government, the mayor's office being the executive branch and the commission being the legislative branch, if you will, the commission sort of serves as the body that lends the same, I guess, consent, if you will, to the nominations of the executive branch, much like the Senate does for Supreme Court nominations and cabinet appointments and things like that. We generally begin the year, I do, putting people on committees. I try to do that impartially, to where that the county is well represented in all areas, on all the committees of assignment. I try to take advantage of particular expertise when putting someone, for instance, on a committee. The reason that the commission can't do that is the power is given to me to appoint those individuals, and I see that everybody deserves a committee assignment to participate and whatnot. And with Doc Bryant being one of their peers, if they see, for instance, that any member really of the commission has done something that is not, I guess, copacetic in the eyes of their peers, then they have the power then to ask me, in this case, to met out some type of punishment. For instance, last month Doc Bryant was censured, which is essentially a public rebuke to basically say we don't agree with what you're doing or we don't agree with your opinion. And the action that was taken on Monday evening basically said that we're going to, as part of the punishment for your censure, we're going to remove you from the committees. But that resolution was lost on a vote of 10-8, I believe, and so we move on.
And what is the timeline for moving into the old Consumer Credit Union building?
Well, the timeline that was a little bit more ambitious, I guess, not knowing exactly what the particulars were with the Election Commission. Obviously, we're very excited to get that building repurposed and refitted in some little areas for the move of EMA and the Election Commission up to the CCU building. It's going to be amazing when it gets done. There will be plenty of parking for future election events. There will be plenty of space for early voting machines to be set up so that there won't be any lines. That's particularly important given that this year, or this coming year, 2020, is a presidential election year. Unfortunately, most people, like myself, we tend to think that because the Election Commission is not doing some type of voting activity currently, that they're not busy up there. And they have a lot of deadlines that they have to meet well in advance. Ballot printing, review, purging of the voter rolls and different things, registration. That has to be published in periodicals well in advance so that people have adequate notification by law of where they're going to vote and how they're going to vote. Because of that, we're not able to get the Election Commission moved up there prior to the presidential primary in March of 2020. So our plan is that once they close, so we'll have to vote in the old election building there on Main Street this time here in the spring, and then as quick as they certify the primary election results for the federal election, then we will be moving them into the CCU building well in advance for them to vet their new machines. Of course, you know that Monday night we also, the commission also voted to purchase new voting machines. That wasn't a purchase from us. It was an authorization, basically. We'll be reimbursed from the state, from the federal government. Actually, it's a grant that comes from the federal government to the state, and then the state sends it out to us for $420,000. But that's the timeline. I would like to have EMA moved much sooner than that to prepare for the spring rain season, but they don't necessarily have the deadlines that the election office does. But the timeline as it is right now is we'll move EMA first sometime around the beginning of the year, hopefully, or late winter, and then to be followed by the Election Commission, which will be after the close of the presidential primary, and then we'll process the current building there on Main Street for sale or storage, depending upon what we decide to do with it.
Tell us about the new Employee of the Month program.
This is an exciting new program that a lot of the commissioners wanted to implement when we took office about 14 months ago. But it's essentially to recognize those employees whose actions outside their job description and their department rises to the level to be recognized for their special action or special ability or performance of their duty. And Monday evening we had the inaugural Employee of the Month. The employees are given a medallion of the Greene County seal in the courthouse. It's very nice. They receive a certificate, and they also receive 8 hours of comp time that goes toward their accrual for vacation. And on Monday night, we honored Dakota Williams and Mike Johnson of the Greene County Highway Department. And those two individuals were going to mow around the area of Glenwood Drive at the beginning of September and noticed that there was a nearby home ablaze. They approached the home very quickly, alerted the homeowner, who was unaware that there was actually a fire, and stayed at the door in order to assist the homeowner out safely. And because of that, we felt that rose to the level that they needed to be recognized publicly and thanked and honored. And we were happy to do that. I think that was a good one to start off with. We hope to do more of that as a way to increase morale, and basically to say that, the public is watching. We've got a lot of people doing a lot of great things, and sometimes that's sort of goes unnoticed, if you will, or underneath the radar. And we just wanted to have this Employee of the Month program to sort of recognize those folks who sort of go above and beyond to do stuff for the love of their neighbor, for safety, for health, and again, outside of their job description and department.
So are there any updates on the tax situation with the city currently?
None to report, really. Reid, I think the situation is still developing. Not had any contact with regard to the differences that the city and the county have. So stay tuned.
Well, I want to thank Greene County Mayor Kevin Morrison for joining us this morning. I'm Reid Seals for AM 1340 and 99.5 FM WGRV.